sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
In Miami tonight, baseball tonight. Roof is shut. Some high winds in the area. And the Marlins and the Phillies get ready to go. It's game 2 of a 3-game set. Giancarlo Stanton and the Fish, 1 run shy of the Phils last night. But a hot Garrett Jones kept the Marlins in it. Kyle Kendrick hasn't lost to the Marlins in eons. Nathan Eovaldi tries to get a win against the Phils. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Last night, Marlins-Phillies hotly contested. Came down to the last out. The Marlins came up a run shy.
It came down to one of those games where the Marlins, and trust me, the ball club knows they had many opportunities. They just hope tonight they can capitalize if they get some of those same chances.
They would not have had any of those opportunities were it not the night that Garrett Jones had. And Jones has been terrific coming off the West Coast swing. He didn't miss a beat last night.
Garrett Jones has just been tremendous. A guy who played a lot of minor league baseball, finally got to the big leagues. He knows what getting hot is all about. His last 4-hit game was against the Dodgers when he was a Pirate back in 2012. So it was good to see him hit the ball all over. I like that one the best. It was a great pitch. He just poked it into shallow left center field. But how about 7 of his last 8 games? Garrett Jones has been on fire. 5 for 8 with runners in scoring position. I like that number. And a batting average over 400. So he knows he's locked in now.
Now, the Phillies are not a first-place team, but the issue isn't with their veterans. They have some guys that have been there and done that. And those guys are actually doing what they're supposed to do this year. And last night, it was on display. Jimmy Rollins, when they needed it most, got a high fastball, and he lost it.
How many times have we talked about the Howards, the Udleys, and Jimmy Rollins, who has had not only a tremendous career, possible Hall of Fame, but also he's had a tremendous run against the Marlins in his career. That was a big 2-run homer last night. But look at the numbers for Jimmy Rollins, 225 games, the batting average, all those base hits, the number of home runs, 25 home runs. Jimmy Rollins has done a lot of damage over the years to the Marlins.
He hit a walk-off homer against the Marlins in Philly. And, of course, last night's home run was a big one as well. So it's the Marlins, it's the Phillies. When we get back, hey, it's all about the shift. What does that mean? We'll explain. Giancarlo Stanton, a lot of shifting in right field. go. Let's head to center field. Jeff Conine, Craig Minervine.
All right, thank you very much, Rich, with Jeff Conine. Welcome back, everybody. And we've got baseball coming up in just a bit. If you've been watching the Marlins outfield this year, they have changed the way they play in the outfield, led by Brett Butler. How so, Jeff? And this started in spring training.
Yeah, in spring training, he really wanted to kind of pinch the gaps in this big ballpark because he felt that anything that gets through those gaps into the wall is almost a guaranteed triple. So he's bringing both the left fielder and the right fielder and kind of what we call pinching the middle of the field, and that's where he wants to make most of his catches.
It played well last night against, in particular, the lefty hitters, Chase Utley, Dominic Brown, and Ryan Howard. Here, look at, I mean, this ball, look, that's the 392 mark, Jeff. That's a triple.
Yeah, when you play straight up, when you have a defensive positioning of straight up, that's basically a straight line through third base and second base. He was on the other side of that with that play right there, pitching the gaps like we talk it.
Howard a little straighter up because of the kind of hitter he is than Utley, but still.
I mean, when you look at what happened last night, it's right on the money. Brett Butler's got these positioning players right in the right spot, taking away a lot of extra base hits from the other team.
What they are giving up is down the line. Another great catch. That was on the Dominic Brown shot. But the give up here, I mean, you can't cover every spot. So if you're going to go this way, then you're giving up that away. But the Marlins feel it's still only a double down the line. That's a long way to go, though, depending if it's down the corner.
Yeah, well, Brett Butler thinks that, okay, we're going to give up a double down the line possibly, but we're going to take away that triple in the gaps. And so far it's worked, especially last night against the Phillies.
And if they're going to hit it more often than not, because they look at the trends, you're going to get more outs there, too, and play the percentages that instead of any hit, you got an out instead of a run around base. It was a big factor in the game last night. Look for it tonight as well. We got baseball coming up, Game 2 from Miami. Kyle Kendrick. Boy, he's been tough to beat for the Marlins. He'll face Nathan Eovaldi. A good one last night. We'll see what's in store for Game 2 coming up next.
In Miami tonight, hard-throwing right-hander Nathan Eovaldi takes aim at the Phillies. The Marlins try to even the score after the Phillies got Game 1 6-5. Ready to go? Eovaldi getting set to face Jimmy Rollins, Carlos Ruiz, and Chase Utley. And Rollins last night, the big home run. He was 2 for 4. Pinch-A-Penny's first pitch is a fastball at 95 miles an hour. Rollins, very good fastball hitter. Nathan Eovaldi features one of the fastest in the league. Rollins stands in hitting .268. Solid season. And he's in the leadoff spot, Tommy Hunt, and he's getting on base. Rollins this year has a .366 on base percentage. That was coming off a year in which he didn't get on base much last year. On base at a .318 clip last season. It's in the air. And Casey McGee makes the catch. Hey, that's Ed Lucas out there. With more on that, here's Tommy Hunt.
But I'll let you give the lineup if you want. I'll do the defense.
All right, let's rotate.
We'll rotate it. Okay.
I got Rollins at short.
We got Carlos Ruiz hitting second. We saw him in that spot last night. Utley, Howard, and Bird, the power part of that lineup. Cody Ashe, Dominic Brown, Tony Gwynn Jr., and Kyle Kendrick fill it out.
And it's brought to you by JM Lexus, Tommy.
All right.
All right, so I got defense tonight.
You got Ed Lucas at short.
I do. I was so excited. It was his birthday as well. There's Ed Lucas, birthday boy. It's in his contract, Tommy. He starts on his birthday. So he's out there at short.
That's his first start at short this year.
And a look at Nathan Eovaldi, the 24-year-old out of Alvin, Texas.
It is not Nathan's birthday, but he is 24. And I think the Phillies will see a little different pitcher than they saw in Philadelphia. Had a no decision against the Phillies back in April. I think they're going to see some better sliders, better breaking balls, and a guy who pitches a little bit as opposed to just rearing back and throwing that fastball.
1-2 to Ruiz. Breaking ball liner. Lucas bobbled it and still makes the play. Happy birthday, Ed Lucas. Now the Phillies are contending that Garrett Jones didn't have his foot on the bag. Juan Samuel, the first base coach, talking with Ted Barrett, the first base umpire, and Ryan Sandberg is coming out. He may challenge this play.
Well, Ed Lucas did not get a birthday hop on his birthday.
Watch this. Watch Jones' foot.
Now let's see how Garrett Jones looks with the foot.
From that angle, you can't tell, but another angle, it looks like his foot came off.
And then you have to look and see if he got the foot back on the bag in time as Ruiz was running up the line.
And it looks like the Phillies have challenged the play at first base. And so Barrett, the first base umpire, comes down. And we saw the first look we saw right after the play, you could see separation. Those last two shots, obviously New York has the Phillies feed, they have our feed, they have all the cameras, and they'll take the best look at it.
You know, talking about Ed Lucas at short, he's been a few innings there this year, but his first start, he started 3 games at shortstop last year. Here's another look. Tough to tell on that angle, but look at Juan Samuel, Phillies first base coach. He's eyeballing Garrett Jones's foot.
Yeah, Samuel was on it.
He never took his eye off the foot of Garrett Jones.
This is the shot. Watch the foot. See the separation? And then he went back to tag the bag.
Looks like by the time he gets back to the bag, Ruiz has already crossed it.
So I think the Phils are going to have a runner at first base. In fact, Ruiz is so confident he hasn't left first base.
And this is one of those challenges. You know, it's early in the game. It doesn't result in a run. However, it could be impactful on this inning and how this inning unfolds, especially with the guys due up, Utley, Howard, and Bird.
Now, we had to shuffle through 3 different looks before that third look, which showed the separation. In New York, I would expect they've gone through a few looks at the same time, and it looks like the decision has been rendered. Looks like Mark Carlson's taking a little note down as well. This one seems to be going unusually long.
this is where it affects the flow of the game. It affects the flow of the starting pitcher. Nathan Eovaldi out there was in a good groove. He had retired Jimmy Rollins. He was throwing strikes, making some pitches.
And he's safe.
And yes, there was that separation on the foot in the bag.
Probably an error on Garrett Jones.
Could be on Ed Lucas, maybe pulling him a little off.
Phillies will keep a challenge. It is overturned, and the error does go to Garrett Jones. So it's E3. And of course, a liner that Ed Lucas will probably tell you he should have caught. And here's Utley. Utley swings and misses.
Yeah, Ed Lucas will tell us it should have never gotten to that.
The deciding look, and this is from New York, the deciding look was the high home look from the Marlins telecast.
And it took 2 minutes and 29 seconds.
I like the fact that Major League Baseball tells the television trucks this is the look that we used as our deciding look. Utley lifts that one in the air. Lucas. And he makes the catch. That's the same type of pop-up that got me started on Miami's defense. So
go ahead, Rich.
Let's go there now. Hey, how about the Marlins defensively? Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, and Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield and infield, with McGee and Jones at the corners, Lucas and Dietrich up the middle, with Adeiny Echeverria getting the night off, and Jared Saltalamacchia is behind the plate. You know what, Tommy? I think that's the first defense I've done.
It was very good. I think your defense was better than my lineup.
Yeah, that's because I threw you right off the into the deep end with it. Here's Ryan Howard now, and this is where that challenge is big. You get Howard to the plate with a runner on, and of course Howard with lots of power, 7 home runs. Marlins outfield shifted in an interesting shift. Craig and Jeff Conine talked about the shift. Giancarlo Stanton is not real deep in right, and Howard pokes it down the left field line, and it lands in the corner. Ruiz racing for third and coming to the plate, and he's gonna score. And the Phils have a 1-0 lead. Howard goes opposite field. The challenge at first base is an enormous play now, and it's 1-0.
The one thing about Ryan Howard that we've seen over the years, on the ground, he'll pull just about everything. But in the air, and especially in his home ballpark, Citizens Bank, he'll hit a lot of home runs to left field. So in the outfield, you can pretty much play him straight away. But good hitting by Howard there, and an unearned run with Ruiz scoring after reaching on the error.
And here is Marlon Byrd. Of course, the other thing looming here is that sitting in the Phil's dugout is a guy that in 13 straight starts is 10-0 against the Marlins, and that's Kyle Kendrick. And he has a run now with a 1-0 Philly lead. Byrd hot lately. Last 21 games, close to a .350 clip. He's raised his average. Baldy with a breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-2. Parts of 4 years in the big leagues for Eovaldi. As Tommy pointed out, just 24. Things kind of spiraled out of control for him in San Francisco in a 6-4 loss his last start. 4 1/3, 6 runs, 9 hits. Into center field, that's a base hit. Charging Ozuna. Howard doesn't run well. Ozuna's throw comes to the plate, and he's still going to score. Boy, Ryan Howard looked awful running from second to third. It was painful just to watch it. But the ball not hit squarely by Byrd, and the Phils have a 2-0 lead.
Boy, and you really look back at that challenge in the replay now. Marlon Byrd has been one of their most consistent hitters. RBI number 27 on the year now for Byrd. Breaking ball out over the plate. He sent it right back into center field.
2-0 Phillies. And this is a lot like last night when the Phillies struck for 2 in the first. Here's Cody Ashe now. You said it last night, and you said it well, against a veteran team, and the Phils are a veteran team. If you give them extra outs, if you make a mistake offensively, they will take advantage of it. And the Phillies have done that tonight.
And we've talked about it. You brought up a point last night that it's not the veteran guys. It may be a concern as the year goes on, and because of their age, they get a little tired, have to have some time off. But the veteran guys like Howard and Bird and Utley and Rollins, they've done the job.
Both of the runs unearned against Eovaldi, but still, one of the things for a young pitcher they have to overcome is when something goes wrong, and obviously the play at first on the challenge when Jones' foot came off the bag, you still have to put it back together. Even if you have to get 4 outs, you got to get 4 outs. That's kind of what happened to Eovaldi in San Francisco. Once the ball got rolling, he had a hard time putting it back together. Remember the call on the Hunter Pence ball that was kicked? That didn't go his way, and the Giants ended up with a big inning. Swing and a miss, and the Phils dugout gets a bat flying right into it. Let's hope everyone's okay. 2 runs on the board early for the Phillies. Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability. 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink possible. By Checkers. Visit your local Checkers for the $2 shrimp and fries box. And by your South Florida Honda dealers and sfhondadealers.com. In Miami tonight, 2 runs for Kyle Kendrick. And he faces Christian Yelich, Derek Dietrich, Giancarlo Stanton. Kendrick is now the de facto captain of the Marlin Killer team, our Chevron pitching matchup. You wouldn't know it by his season numbers. He's 0-4. The Phillies have not scored him runs at all, though. And he's on an incredible run against the Fish. And this is the Marlins lineup. You've seen Christian Yelich. Now meet Derek Dietrich, who's in the 2 spot. Giancarlo Stanton is in right field. Stanton in May, having a terrific month. Casey McGee, Garrett Jones, Jared Saltalamacchia, Ed Lucas, Marcell Ozuna, and Nathan Eovaldi. JM Lexus brings you Miami's lineup tonight. why have the Marlins gone 0-10 against Kyle Kendrick in his last 13 starts?
Well, I have no idea. I mean, even when he gets a no decision, which he did in Philadelphia, he went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and 3 runs, but just 2 earned runs. He's got a good two-seamer. He keeps the hitters off balance. Very good changeup. He'll mix in a breaking ball. And generally, when he keeps the ball down, that's when he's really tough.
Scouting report.
He's got that little hesitation, so the delivery's deceptive. Watch out at first. We've seen that quick move, and the 12-2 lifetime record against the Marlins.
Dietrich cracks one in the gap, left center field. It's well hit, and it's going to scoot all the way to the wall. Dietrich to second, thinking third. He'll hold with the double.
And that is exactly, as a left-handed hitter, how you should try to attack Kyle Kendrick. Dietrich stayed back. The target was away. Got that little two-seamer moving away. If you try to pull that ball, you're in trouble. And Dietrich hammered it into left center. Boy, that's a good swing. A lot of pop in that bat, too.
Now a challenge for Stanton here, who was just 3 for 21 against Kendrick. A double and a homer and 8 strikeouts in those 21 at bats. Last night, an odd night. Statistically, Stanton was 0 for 3, but scored 3 runs. Fastball misses in. It's 2-0. Here are the matchup numbers. As you would expect, there's a lot of Marlin hitters that haven't hit Kendrick that well. The last time a Marlin scored 3 runs without a hit was 2009. John Baker. Counts 2-0. Stanton sitting on a dozen homers. He's driven in 43. Utley and Dietrich having a conversation out at second base, and Ruiz sensing that.
You know, it's amazing that Kendrick has only pitched 1 game here at Marlins Park. Of course, he won that game, and he gave up 5 hits and no runs in 7 innings.
Those are the career numbers against Miami. Now the ERA is rather mortal at 3.45, but the record is dynamite at 12-2. And here's the rub tonight going into this ball game. I mean, you can write the headline you want to write. Kendrick is 10-0 in his last 13 starts against the Marlins, but he's lost 9 straight overall, and that's over 15 starts. So which way is this going to go? In those 15 starts, the Phillies have been shut out 5 times. Now Kendrick may now be the de facto captain of the Marlin Killer team. The former captain is watching from above, Jamie Moyer.
Boy, it was one of those you'd always look at the matchups. Is Moyer pitching in the series?
Stanton fouls it.
Here's what I think is interesting on Kendrick. We saw the 12-2 against the Marlins. He's 7-2 against the Atlanta Braves. So there's 19-4 against 2 Eastern Division teams.
His last 25 starts against the East, he's 13-6. So there's a lot of Eastern Division teams that have trouble with this right-hander. Out of Mount Vernon, Washington. 3-2. It's in. Kendrick loses Stanton. And you can see he wanted that, but pitch number 6 was well in.
Might have been a strike last night.
Yeah, so you're right. Mark Carlson, the home plate umpire. All right, Phillies defense, you're up this time.
All right, let me give you the defense. Dominic Brown, Tony Gwynn Jr., what a great catch he made last night on a ball that Dietrich hit. Marlon Byrd, Ashe and Rollins, Utley and Howard around that infield, and Chooch Carlos Ruiz behind the plate.
Casey McGee now, with runners first and second and one out, and the Marlins trying to climb out of an early hole. Phillies getting 2 runs in the top of the first, just like last night. The Marlins are trying to answer just like last night. Miami got 2 runs against A.J. Burnett in the bottom of the first to set the tone for the night that would go back and forth until the Phillies won it by a run. Toyota trend, Casey McGee. With men on base, 415. With runners in scoring position, 435. And he already has 46 at bats with runners in scoring position. Look out. I'll bet you in the cleanup spot last year for the Marlins, there were not 46 at bats with runners in scoring position until mid or late June.
Like the way he just jumped on that hanging breaking ball. A lot of his base hits in these situations have been up the middle or into right center. But he got that hanging breaking ball. He was all over it. He just pulled it foul.
Driven in 29 runs, has just 1 homer. And he lines it into left center field, a base hit. Late start, Dietrich coming home. Stanton's right behind him. Throw to third, he's in there. Casey McGee, stop it.
No, don't stop it. That gives him 30 RBIs on the year. He is 7th in the National League in runs batted in. And he has just been amazing in these situations. Tried to run it in. Tried to run that 2-seamer in on his hands. And he turned it, got it over the head of Jimmy Rollins at short.
I remember you and I a couple of years ago had a chance to talk to Carlos Lee, one of the great run producers of this era, about his approach with runners in scoring position. And the one thing Lee said is when a guy's in scoring position, he thought up the middle. Jones swings and misses. Up the middle, up the middle. He shortened his swing, and all he thought about was driving it up the middle. And you can see that with McGee, he's in a very similar mindset.
And his last year or two in the major leagues, before he went to Japan, he was not that type of hitter. He had gotten out of that.
Yeah, he told us he was pull happy in Milwaukee. Kendrick misses in. There's 1 out here.
By the way, terrific base running by Dietrich, who had to pause to make sure that ball got over Rollins' head, and then able to score, and also Stanton being able to go first to third.
Jones a big night last night. 4 hits, 2 doubles. Trying to stay out of a double play. He fouls it off of Ruiz, who lost his mask.
Keep your eye on Dietrich right here. He had to pause, take a peek, make sure it got over his head. But you also realize the outfield's deep. It's a big outfield here. A lot of ballparks in Philadelphia, and you might not be able to score there.
And to your point, as they tend to Ruiz, there's 2 guys looking at Brett Butler. There's Dietrich, who wants to know if he's coming home, and Stanton did a nice job of picking Butler up to see that he was sending Dietrich home. And that allowed Stanton to quickly follow into third. Watch this.
Or mask comes off. Wow. Home plate umpire Mark Carlson. A little professional courtesy there. You okay?
Last night, these were the situations that Miami struggled in. Not Jones, but the rest of the ball club. And that is driving a guy in from third with less than 1 out, or less than 2 outs. Right now sitting at 1 out. Jones goes down, sends it into center field. Gwynn is there. Stanton is tagging. The catch is made. Here comes Stanton, and he will score, and Jones delivers.
Boy, already a bonus over last night. In each of those situations last night, whichever Marlins hitter it was struck out. So by making contact, the fly ball deep enough, and just like that, it's a tie game.
You made a comment about Jones last night adjusting his swing to a situation. He did it again.
Yeah, he adjusted it on that one bloop base hit. He dropped into left center. Right there with 2 strikes, he really looked like all he was trying to do is make contact, and boy, is that a good thing to see.
And you can see pitch number 4, a difficult pitch to hit in the air, but he did it. And so Miami picks up the run, and just like last night, it's 2-2, and here is Saltalamacchia. In fact, this very similar to the bottom of the first last night. The Marlins were down 2-0. They got their first run on a Casey McGee RBI single, and then it was a bases loaded walk to Ozuna that tied it.
There's an interesting matchup. We've seen, starting on the West Coast in particular, a lot of pitchers hard stuff up to Jared Saltalamacchia. We've also seen changeups. Now Kyle Kendrick doesn't have hard stuff up. His best pitch is a 2-seamer in an area where Saltalamacchia likes it. But he may use that changeup a little bit more.
Saltalamacchia, spending a lot of time in the American League, hasn't seen Kendrick much at all. He's 0 for 3 in his career against him with a strikeout. Get Lucas on deck. Kendrick turned down an offer to play quarterback at Washington State, where the Phillies drafted him. And for all the great starting pitching talent that has come and gone, Oswalt, Halladay, Moyer,
and now even Cliff Lee momentarily is on the disabled list. The Phillies made that announcement today.
Joe Blanton. Kendrick has kind of been the swing guy in and out of the rotation all that time. As we noted, he hasn't won in his last 15 starts, but the Phillies haven't scored many runs in that time either. 2-2 coming. And he cut it, and it came right back across the plate. Saltalamacchia strikes out. Just like last night, Phillies scored 2. Miami scores 2, and McGee knocks one in.
Por SAP.
In Miami, Nathan Eovaldi saw his defense buckle behind him in the first 2 unearned runs, but his offense evens the score. So it's 2-2, and on to the second we go. Dominic Brown, Tony Gwynn Jr., and Kyle Kendrick. And Brown steps in. Brown last night 1 for 4. And this is one of the guys that the Phillies and Philly fans are waiting and hoping he can kick it into gear, especially his power. Last year, 27 homers. And a lot of those homers came early in the year, because as you span back to include this year and the end of last year, he's hit just 2 homers in his last 245 at bats.
Went to high school outside Atlanta, Stone Mountain, Georgia.
That was after growing up in Dade City, Florida. Big swing and a miss. And his uncle, Tommy Hutton, the great Mudcat Grant.
Mudcat Grant.
Actually signed as a wide receiver at the University of Miami. Back foot breaking ball. Evaldi having trouble throwing his secondary stuff for strikes.
But the one thing he's doing, he's staying with it. He's working on it to not just go back to all fastballs.
Chopper off his glove. Lucas comes in on the run. Safe. Safe at first. A lot of moving parts to that play.
It's another one of those, and you just can't get away from it. If the pitcher, if Evaldi doesn't deflect it, Lucas is right there to make the play. But you can't stop yourself from trying to grab a ball. Ed Lucas is there, has to transfer, throw quickly, but Brown was able to just beat it just by a little bit.
Mike Redmond's coming
Maybe.
out. He may challenge this. Back of the glove. Wow, it's close. That's really close. Marlins at least have started the process. Redmond out to talk to Ted Barrett. Cap off means they're going to challenge. And so we'll start our looks and see what we find. Again, the rule is ball is caught once it hits the back of the glove, not when it enters the glove. And so as we watch this in super slow motion, keep that in mind.
Well, and the other thing to keep in mind, that is something an umpire has to do at full speed.
Oh, without a doubt.
Watch to see where that ball is, back of glove. A lot of times they listen for that. They're watching the foot.
That's tough to tell from that angle. Here's a good look. Back of glove. There. That's close. Now they just showed that in the ballpark. Fans are reacting.
It's close, but is it enough to overturn the call?
That, of course, is always the big question. And the umpiring crew, there are 2 umpiring crews right now in New York who are watching not only the replays that you saw, but the Phillies telecast, which is independent of the Marlins telecast, has different camera angles as well.
Crew chief Ted Barrett, experienced umpire.
That's what an umpire looks at. An umpire gets real time. He's out. So both teams have had a successful challenge. Both teams still have a challenge left.
Well, it turns out to be a nice play by Ed Lucas at short to react on the ball deflected by Nathan Evaldi. So there was enough evidence to overturn the call.
Here is Gwynn now. Tony Gwynn Jr. And Gwynn takes a strike. Gwynn, of course, played for his father. His father, the head baseball coach at San Diego State. His dad played a little baseball, too. One of the all-time great hitters in the game. Pop up, third base side, McGee to the rail. It's on the top of the dugout. McGee saying hello to a row of starting pitchers there in the Marlins dugout.
and they're all telling him, keep getting those big base hits.
Yes. And we get word from New York that the definitive look was the slow motion look that you saw. That look coming from left field, that Foxmo look.
Well, it brings in a lot of dynamics. It brings in and makes you pay attention to all the close calls that umpires have. Whether they get them right, they get most of them right. But so many of the calls are bang-bang plays.
Here's the 0-2. Line into right. Got to be proud of that hit. Tony Gwynn Jr. is aboard. And that'll bring Kyle Kendrick up to bunt. I think at the start of the year, Major League Baseball looked and said, well, these are calls that they went back last year and looked at all the calls that they missed and said, well, this would be the amount of calls missed, and estimated the number of challenges. They may have underestimated a bit the number of really close plays that, two things, would be challenged, or a manager would come out onto the field and wait 30 seconds for the thumbs up or the thumbs down and not challenge. The Marlins have seen the importance of getting calls right. They've probably had 3 games that the outcome has been affected by a successful challenge. Just the game in San Francisco with the missed base at first base.
That turned in to be a huge play.
It was Brandon Hicks. It was on Saturday night. It took the steam out of what could have been a big inning for the Giants. Remember the play here with Yelich, a bang-bang play late in the ball game. Yelich was called out. Marlins challenged. He was safe. I believe that was against Seattle. And that was the winning run. Marlins won the ball game. Kendrick with the count 0-2. You've got Gwynn at first, who stole his first base of the season last night. Bouncer, Dietrich, Lucas, and a double play. A nice inning for Nathan Eovaldi. 2-2 ball game. Miami and Philly. Second in Miami. Marlins Park tonight for the Phillies and the Marlins. The legal portion of the telecast is copyrighted telecast presented by the authority. The Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
Well, a team that we'll see this weekend, Rich, the Milwaukee Brewers, out to a 4-1 lead in Atlanta. Grand slam by Mark Reynolds.
Braves have had a pretty good series leading into this night. And here's Lucas with Ozuna and then Eovaldi lined up to face Kyle Kendrick. 2 runs for the Phils in the first, 2 runs for the Fish in the first.
Been a busy night already for Ed Lucas at shortstop.
Lucas cranks one into center field, hit it well, and Gwynn is there to make the catch. Marlins have got some good swings against Kendrick so far tonight. Tomorrow, Marlins and Phillies wrap up the series. A reminder, everybody pay attention, 12:40 start tomorrow. And if you head to your local Subway on the way down, get a voucher for a $5 ticket. As well, if you're a senior 55 and older, you can get free tickets on Senior Free Ticket Thursday, presented by Wellmax Medical Centers. Marlins.com for details. Here's Ozuna. And Marcel.
There's that good changeup by Kendrick.
Behind the count now 0-1. Tough night for Ozuna last night, 0 for 3, couple strikeouts. You see the average has dipped below 250 after a very solid April. And it's kind of back to where we saw Ozuna last year, Tommy, who had a hot start. The league adjusted to him, and he had trouble adjusting to it.
And it's his time now to try to adjust back.
As a former major league hitter, what adjustments?
Well, for Ozuna, he has to control his aggressiveness. It's nice that he's a high energy player that's aggressive, but sometimes a little over aggressive at the plate.
Frank Menachino talked about Ozuna having a plan, having an idea of what he wanted to do rather than jump and swing at the first thing up there. And he's in a good count here, 3-1. And he popped it up. Howard makes the catch and holds on, and there are 2 outs. I know Carlos Ruiz has the gear on, but when you hear Ryan Howard coming down the line,
you're out of the way. And we could hear Ryan Howard all the way up here.
Now Eovaldi, a couple hits this year. Laid on a fastball. Some wild games around baseball this afternoon. That Cleveland-Detroit game, which took 13 innings to play. Cleveland won the ball game 11-10 on a walk-off balk. Cleveland got a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 9th from Lonnie Chisenhall to get to extra innings. Saw Detroit score a run in the 13th, and then came back and scored 2 with the balk coming against Albuquerque.
So we like to refer to that as a balk-off.
Yes, we do.
I always remember in the old stadium, John Rocker balked in the winning run. Marlins were the recipients of a balk-off.
Rollins glides to his left and makes the play, and an easy inning for Kyle Kendrick to the third. 2-2.
Welcome back here to Marlins Park. We go to the top of the third in a 2-2 game. This game indicative of the way a lot of games have gone at Marlins Park. A lot more offense this year. Last year, people regarded Marlins Park the first 2 years as a pitcher's park. That still holds true with regard to home runs, but not offense. Last year, 2013, numbers on the right, this ballpark was last in the league in homers, 84, and 28th in overall runs scored. That had to do with the Marlins offense, of course, which was futile last year. But this year, almost all those numbers on the left are in the top 10 of all of Major League Baseball by park. That includes both teams, including triples, which you know how good it is. Number 1 last year, 3rd this year. But how about 8th in slugging percentage, 9th in average, 257, 8th in doubles, 12th in the league in runs. So the Marlins offense much improved, and the ballpark has not been a hindrance to them. Home run wise, they're even 18th now in the league at this ballpark. Last year, dead last, only 84 homers hit last year. This year, the teams have combined for 37 home runs. That's in the top 20. So things have changed, guys.
That's good stuff, Craig. And the Marlins, independent of all that, as a team, in the top 5 of a lot of those categories: on base percentage, slugging percentage, runs scored, home runs in the National League. Rollins is up. Rollins cranks one right center field deep. No one's going to get that one. It's going to get to the wall, bounce high off of it. Rollins was thinking 3, but Ozuna got there quickly. And Jimmy Rollins, who had 2 hits last night, including a home run, has a double to lead off the 3rd.
Well, Jimmy Rollins back at it again. I think so much of the offensive numbers, there's a fastball middle of the plate, and even with Stanton shifting over a little bit in right center, this ball carried over his head. I think so much of it has been an organizational thing, from top to bottom, from the very beginning of spring training, talking about this ballpark, to not let the negatives creep in your head. Don't worry about the warning track long fly ball that would be out of a lot of other parks. And I think a lot of it has been that, a lot of good thinking and the approach.
And I think a lot of the struggles on the road for the Marlins, Frank Menachino has weighed in on this, is Miami being unable to take that approach on the road, at least consistently. I think they did a little more of it in San Francisco on the last road trip. Ruiz was trying to push Rollins to 3rd with nobody out. And Eovaldi jams it. The count is 0-2. Well, this is going to be an interesting week for broadcasters across the National League. The Dodgers today placed Juan Uribe on the 15-day disabled list. They called up a 24-year-old shortstop out of Cuba. Is Ribel Arrua Barruena. And he's a true shortstop, and so if Hanley Ramirez needs a day off, Dodgers got their guy. They may move Hanley to 3rd. Not quite sure. 0-2 coming. It's in.
Good place to miss, though, with Ruiz up there thinking of moving Rollins over to 3rd.
Eovaldi. And a swing and a miss. Ruiz strikes out. This is not an easy stretch once you get a guy in scoring position. Ruiz, Utley, Howard.
Remember that fastball in the pitch before set up that slider away.
Utley popped out back in the 1st. Uribe's injury, the Marlins saw him banged up in Los Angeles, a right hamstring.
A big pinch hit one night, but you could tell he wasn't running well. Dodgers taking on the Mets tonight.
Utley's ground ball. Dietrich corrals it. 2 outs. Rollins moves to third, and here's Howard, who knocked in the first run of the night with an RBI double back in the first.
Talked about the career numbers that Jimmy Rollins has put up against the Marlins. How about 135 games for Ryan Howard against the Fish? A 3.04 average. So think about 135 games, a little less than a regular season. 37 home runs and 108 RBIs.
And as you pointed out, many of those home runs have come to left field. More than you would think.
Well, 4 times he's had 45 home runs or more in his career. And those are those career numbers. You can tack on 1 more RBI because he has an RBI tonight.
Breaking ball, fly ball, shallow center. Ozuna, full slide and a catch. And a run-saving catch at that. Marcell Ozuna, a nifty play in center field. Robs Ryan Howard, keeps Rollins at third, and sends this ball game into the bottom of the third at 2-2. Appear in a selfie. Hashtag FL Fan Photo. It's your chance to get your photo, even a selfie, on an upcoming telecast. Brought to you by AT&T. There's a bunt. Yelich off and racing. Ruiz's throw is in time. Quick release by Ruiz, who pounced on it. And there's 1 out.
That's a bunt many times we've seen Christian Yelich. He's trying to just drop that lightly up the third base line. He didn't get it that far, and a good play by Ruiz, who knew he had to be fast.
Dietrich now.
I was just thinking, Rich, that's a beauty of a selfie. You can have a beer while you're taking a selfie.
Because if it's not a selfie, you got to put the beer down, right? I mean, that's tough.
That's right.
Dietrich, maybe they will show up later in the telecast as the AT&T fan photo. Dietrich's double was a bolt in the gap in left center. Phillies got a couple runs out of the chute, both unearned runs. Garrett Jones lost touch with the base on a throw from shortstop. It went as an error to Jones, and that opened the doors for the Phillies to march in with 2 runs. But Kyle Kendrick, Marlin killer, in the first, gave those 2 runs back. Well, the Marlins took them, actually. Casey McGee, an RBI single. What else is new? And then Garrett Jones with a sacrifice fly. So 2-2, bottom third.
We've seen Kyle Kendrick with a little better rhythm, a little better command. Marlins have had some good at-bats against him tonight, so early on, that's a good sign.
Dietrich to the other gap, right center this time. And it slowly gets to the wall, and that's going to allow Dietrich to turn second and get to third. Well, you talk about gap-to-gap power.
That's the one thing that impresses most people who haven't seen Derek Dietrich play a whole lot. The ball really jumps off his bat. You talk to opposing coaches and managers, and they'll tell you that. And a lot of them are surprised, those who haven't seen him very much. But we saw the one jump into left center, and once it got out to right center softly, you knew he was going to end up at third base. And with the infield back, it sets up an RBI opportunity for Giancarlo.
This is kind of pick your poison time for Kendrick. Stanton's at the plate. Kendrick has handled Stanton. He's 3 for 21 in his career. But on deck is McGee, who's been an RBI machine and has another RBI single tonight. So if he walks Stanton, he brings McGee to the plate. Stanton, hard smash off the mound. Utley thought about home, but goes to first.
Well, I tell you, one of the reasons why. First of all, that ball was rocketed off the bat of Giancarlo on the mound. But because Utley was playing so deep at second base, that would have been, he would have needed a cutoff man to make that throw. He's almost on the grass. Good jump by Dietrich. And Utley is saying early in the game, I don't think I have a play at the plate. So Stanton picks up the RBI.
That was scorched. And Miami has a 3-2 lead. Stan picks up his 44th. Here's McGee with 2 outs and nobody on, and he takes a breaking ball outside.
That's one of those balls that Stanton just hit that I feel kind of guilty writing 4-3 in my scorebook. But it's nice to put RBI next to that.
Two and one. McGee, a line drive single to center for Miami's first run in the first. Remember, tomorrow no television, and so the next telecast is a Friday night affair. The Milwaukee Brewers coming in. Brewers had such a terrific start. 2 hops for Rollins. Derek Dietrich's triple, Giancarlo Stanton's ground ball, and just like that, it's a 1-run lead for Miami. Friday night, the 23rd. The Racing Sausages in the Bobblehead Museum. 7:10 start. Celebrate Teacher Appreciation Night at the ballpark. And if you stay in your seats after the game, you get an incredible fireworks display presented by Lexus. Go to marlins.com for tickets.
Too bad the Sausages can't get their heads in the overhead rack and make the trip.
Special containers needed for sure. Marlon Byrd, Cody Ashe, and Dominic Brown in the 4th for the Phils. Byrd knocked a single into center that drove in Ryan Howard in the 1st. The Phillies built a 2-0 lead. And since that first inning, Eovaldi has given up a hit in the 2nd, a single to Gwynn, and a leadoff double to Rollins, which he pitched around in the 3rd.
Well, he did a good job in that 3rd inning after the leadoff double, keeping Rollins on the bases. One of the really interesting numbers on Nathan Eovaldi. You look back at his last couple of years now with the Marlins. He's made 27 starts. This is his 28th start as a Marlin. And 22 of those 27 starts, he's allowed 3 earned runs or less.
Well, Eovaldi, we talked about Kendrick not getting run support. Eovaldi, since he's entered the league, has the least amount of run support among starters.
Well, you look at his overall record. His lifetime record is 11-23, but an ERA of 3.80. This year, 2-2, a 3.62 ERA.
Byrd, the veteran, signed to a 2-year deal in the offseason. He'll turn 37 in August. Smacks it into right field. Base hit. Stanton towards the line. Has it. Pivots. Byrd holds. A good strong throw by Stanton. Waiting for him at second. So a single. Cody Ashe now comes to the plate. 2 hits for Byrd tonight.
Pretty good hitting by Marlon Byrd on a fastball that was away. Talked about how he's been their real bright spot. It's his 19th multi-hit game. So the 36-year-old still going strong.
The Mets are in action tonight at home against the Dodgers. Game is 1-0 Los Angeles, bottom 4 at Citi Field. Reds beat the Nationals 2-1.
Yeah, they came back after being beaten badly by Washington last night.
Aroldis Chapman picked up another save. He's got 3 on the season. That pop-up's going to end up in the seats.
Change up, so you like to see that from Eovaldi.
Miami open play right smack dab in the middle of the National League East standings. The Nationals losing, they fall to 24-22. Miami at 500 at 23-23. The Phillies here are 2 under. The Phillies have played just 42 games. The Marlins have played 46. By Dietrich into right field. Stanton gathers it up, and the Phillies have a couple of singles to open the 4th.
Cody Ashe, a guy who has been hot lately, but early in the season when he faced the Marlins and facing him this series, he's just 2 for 23. against Miami this year.
Now Dominic Brown. Brown hit a bouncer off of Evaldi's glove that was fielded by Ed Lucas. He was originally called safe at first. Marlins came out challenged. It was a very, very close bang play, and he was called out. And there have been 2 challenges, and both were overturned. And the one that was overturned in the Phil's favor was a key play. That was the one that went in the Phil's favor. That was called an out. That was back in the first inning, and it looked like a rather routine throw from Ed Lucas to Garrett Jones. But Juan Samuel, the first base coach, was on it, and Tommy, it allowed the Phillies to score 2 runs. Here's the other challenge on a bang play. He actually was out, and it wasn't that angle that we ended up having to look 2 or 3 times to find the definitive look.
That's a play if he hits the front of the bag, just noticing his foot. Dominic Brown, if he hits the front of the bag, he's probably safe.
So 2 challenges already, both at first base. Neither an easy call. The 3-1 pitch. Liner down the left field line, but it peels foul and out of play. Dominic Brown was dynamite to start last year. He was an all-star. Marlins have had very good success so far. 8 of 9 challenges. The 3-2. Little tapper. Evaldi has it, looks at second, goes to first. And essentially, Brown moves the runners up. You've got Gwynn coming up, and then the pitcher, Kendrick. So Evaldi's got an opportunity to pitch his way out of this.
I think Evaldi thought about second base. Probably made the right choice. Ashley got a pretty good jump running off first.
Gwynn had a solid line drive base hit to right. Infield's back with 1 out. Runners second and third. Evaldi a pair of strikeouts. He hasn't walked anybody. But
that's one thing he always does well.
Phillies already have 6 hits. Either run earned. 96 miles an hour with the fastball.
Evaldi now up 58 innings. Has 52 strikeouts and just 12 walks. So he always has a pretty good ratio.
Marlon Byrd, Cody Ashe opened the inning with base hits. Brown's tapper to the mound moved them up 90 apiece. Evaldi comes in and misses. It's a ball and a strike. Back and forth the Phils and the Marlins went last night before Jonathan Papelbon got Jared Saltalamacchia on a fly ball out with runners in scoring position to end the night. And the Phils won it 6-5.
Well, we told you how these clubs have played extremely close games. The Marlins are 0-4 against the Phillies this year, but they've lost 6-3, and then their next 3 losses, 5-4 in 10 innings, 4-3. That was in Philly, and then the 6-5 loss last night.
1-2 to Gwynn. Pulls it foul. Having watched those ball games, you and I discussed it last night. It's a young Marlin team that is prone every now and then to make a mistake, whether it's an error or a base running miscue, or not get a runner over or a runner in. And it seems like every time that happens against the Phillies, it costs them.
Well, you have the youngest team in the major leagues against the oldest team in the National League. I think only the Red Sox have an average older age than the Phillies.
Gwynn is 31. He settles in. And Evaldi's 1-2. Breaking ball, liner into right field, base hit. Stanton to his left has it. Ashe will hold at third. Bird scores. And back and forth they go again tonight. It's 3-3. And Tony Gwynn Jr.'s had two really nice at-bats in the 8th spot.
Well, he hit that curveball, and it just kind of floated up there, middle of the plate. A lot of pitching coaches, a lot of people will say, number 8 hitter, throw him that 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Don't let him hurt you on what's probably your third pitch.
A decision to be made here if you're the Phils. You go back to the last at bat by Kendrick. He bounced into a double play. And obviously, with runners at the corners and one out, that's the last thing Ryan Sandberg wants. How do you prevent that? Do you bunt Kendrick here and just try to push the runner to second and give Rollins a chance to drive in too?
He's been one of those guys over his career, Kendrick has, that handles the bat pretty well. So he can show bunt and bring it back, take a swing. He can do that.
You've got Ashe at third and Gwynn's at first. He shows bunt, pulls it back, and lines it to right field. Stanton towards the line. Foul. Tommy Hutton was all over it.
Yeah, he does that a lot.
It must have been your Philly DNA.
Hey, Tony Gwynn now in his career, not a huge sample size, but 4 for 5 against Nathan Eovaldi.
Shows bunt again.
With his ability to bring the bat back and take a swing, if you're at third or first, you can't charge as hard as you would normally.
I don't know if Eovaldi is trying to get the runner at first or if he's just trying to see if Kendrick will tip his hand.
That's what he's trying to do.
Pete McCannon, third base coach. Guy who's managed in the big leagues in a couple different ball clubs. Pulls it back to the mound. Eovaldi looks, got it out there. Got it out there.
What a terrific job by Nathan Eovaldi.
1-6-3, and Kendrick hits into his second double play of the game. Phillies get a run. It's 1-1. Baseball on Fox Sports Florida is brought to you by Palmetto 57 Nissan and Palmetto 57 Volkswagen, home of your money-back guarantee, by 22 Jump Street, in theaters June 13th, and by Acura and your local Acura dealer. In Miami tonight, a game an awful lot like last night. Marlins and Phillies going back and forth. A 3-3 ball game. The Phillies have just tied it on a Tony Gwynn Jr. RBI single. Kyle Kendrick still steaming about bouncing into his second double play, and thus a 3-3 game with Garrett Jones, Jared Saltalamacchia, and Ed Lucas coming up. Jones delivered a sacrifice fly, and he continues what has been a really nice run for the big first baseman. 6 homers, 22 driven in his last 9 games. He's hitting .382. Off-speed pitch, and he flips it down the left field line. He's going to fall for a base hit. Round first. Jones is going for it. The throw. He is safe. Just got in there.
Garrett Jones is not the swiftest of Marlins runners, but a heads-up play on his part. Another great swing, and for Garrett Jones, he's been really staying back well, getting a lot of his base hits the other way. Nice job by Dominic Brown. He came up with a pretty strong throw and right on the money. But Jones, with that straight on slide, got the foot on the bag just before the tag. So 8 of 9 now for Garrett Jones he's hit in.
He's got 6 doubles in that stretch. Saltalamacchia now. And he takes a strike. Well, Marlins have an opportunity here. If they can get him over, get him in. Saltalamacchia called out on strikes in the first. Lucas is on deck. He lined to center in his first at bat. Saltalamacchia, fly ball center field. Tagging is Jones. Gwynn gets behind it, makes the catch, and Jones motors to third. And Saltalamacchia gets him over.
There's more than one way to do that job. And Saltalamacchia did it with a fly ball deep enough to get Jones to third.
Here is Lucas. I know some people lobby for that play to be scored a sacrifice. I've always thought maybe not a sacrifice, but maybe half of an at bat. 0.5 of an at bat.
How about a ground ball to the right side? Same thing?
Yeah. Move a runner, half of an at bat. Infield's in. Lucas trying to drive in this run.
That's a tough play to take to arbitration.
I moved 13 runners last year.
Yeah, you could just see the arbiter.
Sure you did.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, what's your WAR?
Sure you did.
What's your WAR? Give me some OPS. A 1. Lucas swings and misses, and now he's behind the count 0-2.
It's a pitch we haven't seen a lot of, and it's usually a pretty good pitch for Kendrick, that changeup. Talk, Rich, about Kendrick being that valuable swing guy type in a rotation. He's also only been on the disabled list one time in his career. Missed a little time last year with some shoulder tendonitis.
1-2. That's out. Kendrick was flirted with those last 2 pitches with the strike zone after being out in front 0-2. Breaking ball, and Lucas has battled all the way back to a full count.
The one thing Kendrick has done in his career, he's made the most of it financially as well. For a guy who's right about 500, I think he's a little over $7.5 million this year.
3-2 coming. It's in. It's a Lucas who was overly aggressive early in the count. Waits Kendrick out. And now a big at bat for a slumping Marcell Ozuna.
And you talked about it last night. Ozuna in that 8th inning had an opportunity with the runner at third, less than 2 out, and struck out swinging. That was off the right-hander Mike Adams.
Boy, for a guy like Ozuna who's been over-aggressive, this is a real tough pitcher to face.
This would also be a big pick-me-up for him if he can come through here.
Lucas and Jones at the corners, middle infield back for 2. Ozuna has come through in these spots 7 of 11 times. The major league average is at 51%. Ball and a strike. Who blinks first in this matchup? Ozuna held up on a changeup that was tantalizingly coming in at 81 miles an hour, and it was just in.
You will agree, though, this isn't the sharpest Kyle Kendrick the Marlins have seen. Careful. Remember in the scouting report we talked about his quick feet, quick move over to first.
Yeah, the ironic thing here is that both pitchers, Eovaldi in his career and Kendrick over his last 15 starts, have not been getting any run support, and yet their teams have both gone out and put 3 up on the board early. 2-1. That's in, almost hit him.
With Eovaldi on deck, this is a situation 3-1. You'd almost like Ozuna, if it's close, to be aggressive.
It's working against everything that he's
that's right.
working on.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if it is around the zone. He is aggressive, lines it to center, and it falls for a base hit. Jones on his way in, and Ozuna comes through.
And a good AB and a good job by Marcell Ozuna. Ed Lucas with a better angle. He takes off right away. He sees that ball's going to drop. Not too much hesitation there. And alertly, Jones goes back, tags up, and scores easily. So good AB, good all around for Marcell Ozuna.
So here's Eovaldi. Now Eovaldi has a couple of sacrifice bunts on the season. It's something that he's worked on and something that he continues to work on. But he is not a polished bunter.
The other night, Jacob Turner dropped down a couple of nice sacrifice bunts. Henderson Alvarez leads the club with 7.
There's the bunt. Ruiz is going to go to third. Safe. Bags are loaded. A rare mistake by a veteran catcher.
Sometimes you get a little too greedy. Carlos Ruiz thought he had a play at third base on that bunt that was out in front of the plate. Good bunt by Nathan Eovaldi. And a very close play at third. Great jump at second by Lucas, too.
You saw Larry Boa going to the phone. Boa calling the video room to see if they got a look. Here's our first look. It looks like the foot is there before the ball's in the back of the glove.
If, in fact, that ruling is upheld, it'll be a sacrifice and a fielder's choice.
Here's a great look.
Oh, yeah.
He's clearly in. Terrific work by the crew tonight on all the close plays.
They're getting tested tonight, and they're passing flying colors.
Now Yelich, who is 0 for 2, and the Phillies infield has crept about halfway up the middle. Miami has a run and a 1-run lead, but a chance to crack it open here.
Well, one of those nice opposite field gappers off the bat of Christian Yelich would open it up nicely.
Kendrick's 1-0. And it's in. Yelich, despite slumping to 253, a 335 on base percentage, and an 0 for 15 drought. It has not been an easy month of May. His power numbers are up in the month. Bags loaded. 1 out. Liner in the left, base hit. Lucas scores. Ozuna to third. He'll hold there. Brown's throw is cut, and Yelich delivers. And the lead is 5-3, and here comes Dietrich, who has doubled and tripled.
We saw Marcell Ozuna get a nice pick-me-up with a base hit to drive in a run. Same thing there for Christian Yelich, and what a nice job. That's exactly the approach he wanted against Kendrick. This is the old keep the line moving.
And the nice thing about that is somewhere in the middle of that line is Giancarlo Stanton. Dietrich has done damage tonight. Doubled to the gap in left center and scored in the first. Tripled to the gap in right center and scored in the third. The Phillies dealt a blow yesterday when Cliff Lee went in for an MRI on his elbow. The news was not that bad. A grade 1, grade 2 strain of his left elbow. He is on the disabled list. 2-3 weeks is the hope. Ruiz. And Ozuna is back in. But of course, Lee is such a workhorse and a dependable guy. Really hasn't had a history of arm issues. He had an abdominal injury.
He's also that guy that gives you that 7-8 innings consistently. Goes deep into games.
That misses as well. Ozuna, Eovaldi, Yelich. 2-1. And the changeup. 2-2. Kendrick has thrown 72 pitches. Banks loaded, 1 out. 2 runs across here in the 4th. And a high fastball finishes Dietrich. But now you've got a real fascinating matchup. Stan was pitched around in the 1st. He knocked in a run with a ground ball in the 3rd. And there's no place to put him here. Bags loaded. 2 outs. Kendrick against Stanton.
Dietrich just couldn't lay off that high fastball. Tough one to lay off of in that situation.
Breaking ball is a called strike. And it's 0-1. See the numbers with runners in scoring position. One pitch in the dirt, and Ruiz smothers it. So 2 breaking balls, a 1-1 count.
Hard to believe that Giancarlo is 3 for 22 in his career against Kendrick, especially the way he hit that ball, that one hopper to second base.
That one hopper was clocked at 110 miles an hour off the bat. One coming. That one's off the end of the bat. Howard flips. Kendrick is there and gets the out. Miami gets 2 but leaves them loaded. Headed to the 5th. 5-3 Fish. Youngest team in baseball and the oldest team in the National League, as the Marlins and the Phillies tangle here. And so far the young guys are up by a couple. Our Coors cold hard facts. There are the ages. The Phillies roster at 31 years 69 days, and the Marlins 27 years 329 days on average.
Then you have 24-year-old Nathan Eovaldi. Kyle Kendrick's 29. But certainly Eovaldi working to a veteran lineup led by this guy, Jimmy Rollins.
Rollins has had a good series, 3 for 6 in the series. Tonight a double, last night a big 2-run homer. And the Phillies win.
Jimmy Rollins' double his last time up. His 48th career double against the Marlins. You could probably guess who he's tied with for the most doubles against the Marlins.
From the Phillies or any team?
Any team.
Oh, the Chipper Jones is.
Chipper Jones. He's tied with Chipper.
Or a David Wright. Those
Yeah.
are kind of the two go-to guys. Apparently Wright is third on that list. 2-2. Rollins again lines it into Wright. Tell you what, a renaissance for Rollins up in that leadoff spot. He's getting on base. He's doing damage. Just for men, play like a champ player profile. These are the games and the numbers. 225 career games against the Marlins.
Part of the reason, and in talking to people following the Phillies this year especially, part of the reason for the renaissance, so to speak, of Jimmy Rollins, who already has as many home runs as he hit last year, he has 6, is his legs are strong. He's running well. He has a good foundation. And he couldn't say that last year. He's stealing bases a little bit more this year.
Yeah, Rollins last year had just 6 homers. Ruiz steps out, and he's already hit 6 this year. Stanton approaches, makes the catch. Eovaldi has the first out of the 5th. We'd like to send along our best wishes to Phillies president David Montgomery, who just underwent surgery to remove cancer from his right jaw. He remains hospitalized in Philadelphia. He's in his 44th season with the Phillies.
Wish David all the best. Have known him for a long time, and from what I was told tonight, the prognosis very, very good.
Philadelphia native, graduated from Penn. Little squibbler down the line, tough play, and McGee's going to have to eat it. And Utley has an infield hit.
There's another guy running well, Chase Utley.
So Utley's aboard. Marlins this weekend are up against a team that can swing it. No television tomorrow as the Phillies and the Marlins finish the series at 12:40. You can listen in on radio. Marlins Live brought to you by South Florida Honda dealers on Friday at 6:30.
Got the big salad on Friday night. Got to remember, too, Saturday's game is a 4:10 start. Marlins Live, I suspect, at 3:30.
And then Sunday afternoon ball game, Marlins and Brewers. And it's a getaway day as the Marlins get away to Washington, D.C. And Monday's game is an afternoon game in Washington.
Part of the Memorial Day weekend.
And what better place to spend Memorial Day than in Washington, D.C.?
Washington, D.C.
Howard pulls one on the ground. Jones surveys the infield and gets an out at first. That's going to give Marlon Byrd an opportunity to tie this game.
when he's had 2 good at bats, 2 base hits, and over the last 22 games now hitting over 350.
So this is a big at bat for Nathan Eovaldi if he's going to stop this back and forth, which the Phillies took the initial 2-0 lead. Marlins tied it. Marlins a 3-2 lead. Phillies tied it. Marlins a 5-3 lead, and now the Phillies have a chance to tie it. And once again, it's a lot like last night. Phillies finished the night last night with a 1-run win. Multi-hit games. Paul Goldschmidt along with Marlon Byrd.
Another solid year from Paul Goldschmidt.
And Arizona's starting to play a little better. They're still 11 under.
It's the Tony La Russa effect. No, I think Tony's just there to kind of assess things this year.
Saw where Kevin Towers said yesterday that he feels that he and Tony La Russa can work together. Some people immediately had Tony bringing in his own general manager. Towers is one of the best evaluators of pitching talent in the game.
Well, a situation like this, it gives both Kevin Towers and Tony La Russa, gives them an opportunity to work with each other and kind of get a feel for each other.
That's a team that has suffered some pretty substantial injuries. Patrick Corbin, Mark Trumbo. That pitch was at the knees and had plenty of the plate. But it's 3-1 to Marlon Byrd. RBI single in the first, singled and scored in the fourth. The epitome of a professional hitter. It's out. And up comes Ashe, the young third baseman.
You know, first base was open. Not that you want to walk and load the bases and pitch to a left-handed bat, but you still want to make a really good pitch. And it's not all that bad that he missed on an attempt of a good fastball away. Now he's got to make some good pitches to this young left-handed hitter.
Philly at every base, 2 outs. All these pitch count is up there right now. Ball and a strike. Ashe out of the University of Nebraska. 4th round pick back in 2011. Drives it in the gap, right center. That's trouble. Got it! Stanton! Full out dive. Saves 3 runs. And the shift works again. What a play. What a big play. With the bags loaded.
Bottom of the 5th inning. We talked just before the game started here tonight about Brett Butler's strategy, which he's been using all year long. It seems like it's really showing up big time in this series. And that is bunching the gaps. You got to give him something. There's 4 gaps out there. You give him one. What the Marlins are doing, especially with the left-handed hitters, is giving him the line, especially with a power pitcher. With a guy like Nathan Eovaldi, what Butler told me is they'll push it even more to the gap because of the juice he's throwing with. Last night, DeSclafani, not as much. They'd be a little closer to the line, but they're expecting the hitters to hit it to the opposite, or not as pull happy, if you will. And that paid off again in this play. As you mentioned, Rich, on the call, Giancarlo Stanton with an amazing catch, saving 3 runs. He was way over in the gap. We haven't seen him make a catch, I don't think, this year that far over, where normally a center fielder might grab that ball if he's playing opposite, or in this case, a little bit to the pull side with a lefty hitter. So this strategy is paying off. Butler told me he'll give him the doubles down the line. It's going to be a double anyway, but in that area there, especially with a pitcher with a lot of juice, as he says with Eovaldi, they're going to play that gap and try to cut it off. I think, guys, it was also a factor on Rollins' double earlier in the game, kept him from getting to third, maybe prevented the run.
Well, certainly, Craig, the Marlins have been aggressive in the outfield. We've seen teams that are really aggressive in the infield. The Marlins have been very aggressive in the outfield.
And I think the whole key in the theory and what Brett Butler was talking about is that if you got a pitch that throws hard, then you can gap a little bit more. But if the pitcher's not throwing hard, those left-handers have a little more chance of pulling the ball. But again, you're trying to take away that triple in deep right center, as opposed to a ball into right field down the line, probably a double.
And a look of relief on the face of Eovaldi, because if Stanton misses that ball, say he dives and just gets a piece of it, with 2 outs, everybody was on the move, and everybody, in all likelihood, scores.
Well, so many times, and it's just really cool to see it. So many times Stanton is on everybody's highlight show hitting a 450-foot home run. So to be able to see him making a diving catch, boy, that was great.
And that could be the one time he shows up on the defensive highlight.
That's exactly right.
Jones has doubled, has a sacrifice fly. If you watch Stanton play on a daily basis, as we are very fortunate to do, you see Jeff Manship in the bullpen, you realize that he's actually a very good outfielder. There are some people that see him as just a slugger out there in right. But we get a chance to see the football player in the wide receiver, the cornerback.
I disputed a scout earlier this year who was basically trying to tell me that Stanton was below average outfielder.
No, I'm not saying that.
I started to rant to a scout a little bit.
You know, but the good news is we immediately went to other scouts to compare notes, and they disputed that same scout. I think what helps Stanton is essentially those football skills, tracking the ball in the air, because when the ball's in the air, he has a real good angle and he does not have any wasted steps. He's very efficient to the ball. Pitch that Kendrick's not been getting tonight against the left-handed hitters is when he comes in with that occasional fastball. Saltalamacchia steps out.
With the the way Mike Redmond likes to give some guys a little bit of a rest on day games. Tomorrow is a day game. It works well when he faces the left-hander, and the Marlins will be facing Cole Hamels because he'll have Mathis behind the plate. I'm sure Reed Johnson and Jeff Baker will get starts. So his right-handed bats then face a lefty.
At the count 3-1, the entire infield just shifted. It's 3-2.
Kind of like the entire backfield shifting.
Why at 3-1? Is it all of a sudden the Phillies decided to pitch Saltalamacchia in?
They're figuring 3-1. He's going to really try to pull a ball.
He kind of bloops it out into center field. Quinn is there, and he makes the catch. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Kyle Kendrick. 5 in the books. 5-3 Miami. In Miami tonight, Marlins and Phillies. Tommy Hutton getting his groove on. Along with Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine, Rich Waltz with you tonight. The Marlins 2 runs better than the Phils, but you get a sense this one is a long ways from being done. The way this series has gone. Bottom third of the order, Dominic Brown, Tony Gwynn, and then the pitcher's spot for the Phils.
Well, also important for Nathan Eovaldi to get through this 6th inning. Makes it a little easier for Mike Redmond to set things up. Unless he has a real quick inning, you would imagine this might be it for Nate. He's due up third also when the Marlins bat.
Eovaldi has not been dominating tonight. And it's, I think a lot of people look at Eovaldi and look at the velocity on his fastball and think every night he should strike out 9, 10, 11 guys. And there are nights where he will. But if you've watched Eovaldi, you know that the key, and Chuck Hernandez will be the first to tell you that, The key is his secondary pitches. He's got to develop breaking ball. He's got to have some feel for the changeup. Right back to him. And he gets the out at first. Brown hits it hard. First out of the 6th. Brewers are here, weekend series, and as Tommy noted, 4:10 start. 4:10 start on Saturday. It's a Saturday spectacular. Celebrate Cuban Heritage Night at the ballpark. After the game, enjoy a live concert on the West Plaza with Cuban reggae sensation Gente de Zola, presented by Banna Sugar. Marlins.com for more details.
About time for us to have a Cuban sandwich on Saturday. I think the other thing, Rich, about Nathan Eovaldi in describing how he's worked with out using 98, 97 miles an hour fastballs, for him psychologically it's good to be able to go out there and know that he can pitch and be effective with his other stuff.
Counts 1-2 on Tony Gwynn Jr., who's had 2 real nice line drive base hits, the 2nd and the 4th.
Boy, he's had some close calls, some that he's just missed with, a couple he didn't get. Just missed, but was real close.
Look out. That went into the Marlins dugout. Two to Gwynn. Out to center. Ozuna makes the catch. We apologize for that after the swing. It's all our audio guys' fault. Mark Butler, the best in the business. South Florida Lexus standings. National League East. And the Marlins right at an even 500. Nationals 24-22, 25-19. And we mean that sincerely. Not only that Lexus brings you the standing, but also that our audio here, Mark Butler, is the best. We lose him on occasion to the biggest of national shows, but we're very fortunate to have him over the course of the regular season.
We yearn for that audio excellence when we're on the road sometimes.
Yeah, we have to ask. We have specific things.
Can you make it like Mark Butler? We always tell them.
Specific things that we take for granted. Baldy misses. It counts 2-1. But occasionally we'll pick something up that we didn't mean to pick up. 2-1 coming.
I think Kendrick, by having that 1-2-3 inning in the 5th, earned himself another inning.
Well, Kendrick, as you noted, puts the bat on the ball. That's a good thing, usually. But for Kendrick and the Phillies, not so much tonight. He's bounced into 2 double plays. And both of them have ended innings. That's a foul ball. And you think about it, the double play in the 4th was enormous because there were runners at the corners with one out. This one was just foul. That was a big play that got Eovaldi out of the inning and limited the damage to just one run. And of course, the Stanton catch to finish the fifth saved 3 runs. And Kendrick serves it into center field. Fox Sports Supports, especially proud to recognize the Army's Gold Star Pin campaign. Honors the families of fallen service members. To learn more, visit goldstarpin.org.
This is where you really have to be careful, because if you remember last night, it was an A.J. Burnett base hit in the 5th inning with 1 out, and Jimmy Rollins stepped up and hit a 2-run homer off Anthony DeSclafani. So you got to be careful.
Rollins 2 more hits tonight, including a double, homered last night. And it's 0-1.
So 2,217 career hits.
For those of us that know him by his name, his pipe, and his broadcasting, what kind of player was Richie Ashburn?
Which, by the way, he's tied Richie Ashburn now with 2,217. Richie Ashburn was an excellent outfielder, a lot of speed, leadoff hitter, line drive hitter, not a power guy, and not the power that Jimmy Rollins has, but could maneuver a ball around the infield, get base hits, lots of base hits. A real spark plug at the top of the lineup.
And of course went on to a long career as a Phillies broadcaster.
Known by Philly fans just as Whitey.
Out of
Richie Ashburn was from the Midwest.
Out of Nebraska.
Yeah, Midwest.
Tilden, Nebraska. Dietrich thought about second and hurries it to first to get Rollins. Eovaldi gets to the 6th and hangs on to a 5-3 lead. ...15 seasons with the same team, 3-time All-Star, MVP, 2,200 hits, 2nd-round draft pick, also a World Series champion, 4 Gold Gloves, and plays at a premium defensive position. That would be Jimmy Rollins.
One of the discussions, and it's going to be a good discussion over the next couple of years. Most recently, Barry Larkin, shortstop, into the Hall of Fame. And with the exception of batting average and on-base percentage, Jimmy Rollins pretty much tops Barry Larkin in every other category.
And Lucas sends one into center field. Lucas hit a searing liner for an out and then walked. So he's 1 for 2 on his birthday.
Yeah, you got to get a base hit on your birthday, especially after hitting that hard line drive to center. Ed said, though, before the game, he said when you're 32, you kind of let them slide. You don't talk about them too much.
You know, one thing I did not realize just in going back and looking at Richie Ashburn's career, I did not realize that he finished his career
with the Mets.
With the Mets in
yeah.
62.
He was with that horrible Mets team. He used to have some tremendous stories.
Chopper, Rollins backing up out there. Utley's turn, safe. He just beat it. So Ozuna, who had an RBI single back in the 4th, is on.
And what did you tell me Richie Ashburn's lifetime on-base percentage was?
Ashburn was a .396 career on-base percentage. Hit .308 in his career. A Hall of Famer with over 2,500 hits in his career. And we're talking about Rollins catching Ashburn and tying Ashburn on the Phillies hit list. Ashburn would play 2 years with the Cubs, 60 and 61, and then that last year with the Mets.
Well, as expected, that is all for Nathan Eovaldi, so we'll get a look at bullpens. Mario Hollins getting loosened. You saw Mike Dunn for the Marlins. Reed Johnson pinch hitting here. Interesting game for Eovaldi. We gave up the 10 hits. I think a good learning process for him tonight.
Johnson, Ozuna the runner at first base. Bottom 6, 5-3 Miami. Marlins a chance to poke their heads back up above 500 with a win tonight.
The Marlins as a team have 12 pinch hits. Reed Johnson has 6 of those.
Johnson has been Miami's best pinch hitter. We saw last night that John Mayberry Jr. has been the Phil's best pinch hitter.
Yeah, you can see how quick Kendrick is over the first. course, you and I know as well as anybody, when you take on the Phillies and you get in these situations a little later in the game, the importance of just trying to add on. Get a run here, run there.
It's in. And it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, you documented the Marlins against the Phillies and all the close losses. And they really haven't met that many times this year.
3 one-run losses. They're 0-4. Even the game that wasn't a one-run game was a 6-3 loss.
Johnson yanks one. Foul. Hit it well. Two and two. Off of Kendrick, picks it up, fires to first in time. It sounded like it hit his glove.
Well, what a terrific at bat. Just bad luck for Reed Johnson. He crushes this ball. Kendrick, a good athlete. We've seen that. We've seen him with the bat. We've seen him with the pickoff move. And then knocking this ball down, and not sure what it hit, but he kept it in front of him.
Well, it sounded like glove. It almost sounded like the back of his glove. It had a hollow sound to it.
I think with the left-hander warming up the bullpen, though, and Christian Yelich coming up, Ryan Sandberg's going to make a move.
So Kendrick is fine, and he exits the ball game. 5-3 Miami. We told you he was headed to Washington State to play quarterback. We watched a couple replays to see what this hit, and we couldn't tell. Found a good look. Watch where this ball hits. It hits right on that inside of that right thigh, right up at the hip. Top of the thigh, right hip, and that's a seed off the back.
You can tell how squarely it hit him because it bounced right in front of him. It didn't care him one way or the other.
And so Hollins is in. Yelich is up. Marcell Ozuna's out in scoring position. Holland's a big crossfire lefty.
Yeah, kind of one of those pitchers you describe as a slinger. He slings the ball up there. They use that fastball and breaking ball.
Ruiz. And it's 2-0. Well, Hollins has Yelich here. If he walks Yelich, he's got Dietrich coming up.
Really good numbers this year, and I think everybody was a little worried last year. Why, I'm not sure, because he's proven it. Christian Yelich hit below 200 against lefties last year, but so far this year, 333.
3-0 pitch. Center field, deep, Quinn looking, off the wall, Ozuna scores, Yelich thinking 3, on his way. 6-3 Marlins, Christian Yelich, his 4th triple of the season.
Got a lot of things that surprise other teams that Christian Yelich does, and I think certainly one of them is the pop he generates. I think his power, and as he matures as a hitter, he's going to give you some home runs. This ball well over the head of Tony Gwynn Jr. and continue to carry. And beautiful swing off the left-hander and more insurance. That's even better.
So a 6-3 lead. Here's Dietrich. A strike to Dietrich. Double was to left center, triple was to right center. Bouncer back to Hollins, who gets the out, but the Marlins get a run here in the 6th. Christian Yelich, an RBI triple.
Well, hope you caught us on Marlins Live tonight. 9 questions. Special guest Jack McKeon. We asked him about some famous people he met in his life.
And then both Bushes, George and
Sure.
And then Let's see, one more somewhere there along the line.
You probably met either Mr. Clinton or...
no, not Clinton. I met Bushes and...
Lincoln, maybe?
No, George. It wasn't Lincoln. It might have been Washington when we crossed the Potomac. I think that's what it was. We were both in rowboats.
And he's here live. Jack McKeon is here. Jack, watch that piece. I didn't know you were on the rowboat in the Potomac there, Skipper.
That was very interesting, really. Whoever come up with that idea did a great job.
That was Bobby Grossman. Great job editing. Jack, it's good to see you. You're feeling good, and I know you're enjoying the ball game tonight.
Oh, there's no question. They're playing real good tonight. It's a fun team to watch, and they're having their ups and downs. But injury to Fernandez hurt them. But they got enough, drive and fire in them that get a few breaks here and there. They can stay right in this thing.
You're on a Florida swing. You've been looking at some of the teams. Where have you been lately, and what have you been doing this summer?
Well, I've been over to Greensburg quite a bit, and I've seen that team, and I came down to Jacksonville last week. I hit Jacksonville, Jupiter, and then I come over here for a few days and see our Major League club, and then I get back, into the swing of things. A couple more weeks, go back to Greensboro and make the second jaunt around later on.
How about when you're home? Are you still on your area cleaning out and getting your arms all cut up by those trees in your house?
Yeah, you can see them right here. I mean, I still do my mowing. I got the 15 acres there that I get on my tractor and enjoy it. Can't smoke anymore, but I still enjoy getting on that tractor and riding around. And
give me your thoughts, Jack. Mike Redmond here played for you. Your thoughts on him as he's getting this job down in year number 2, and any advice you gave him at all when you talked to him in spring training?
You always try to help Red any way you can. He was a great, great competitor and a great asset to our ball club in 2003. And I don't like to get into anybody's business. They want some, want some help. I'll be glad to help them. And we talk, once in a while, but I stay out of their, out of their business. But I think he's done a pretty good job. And with all managers, including myself, when I first started out, you learn on the job for a year or two, and you make mistakes and you correct them. And I think he's doing a fine job.
One mantra you always had was to do it what you think was the right move and not worry about any of the outside influences.
Well, I always made the right move. No, I mean, you made the right move. It just depends. You're counting on the players to execute. If they execute, it's good, but if they don't execute. But, basically you made the right move most of the time.
Jack, it's always good seeing you, and I'll tell you what, you look great with that old Colonial hat on, and as a basketball referee as well, which you told us that would have been a career you would have pursued had baseball not worked out.
No question. I had an opportunity years ago, but my desire was to manage in the big leagues, and now I had reached AAA level, and I thought I had a greater future in baseball, which it turned out, just that way.
It's a good decision. Good to see you. Thank you. Always great to see Jack McKeon, guys. Looking good. Back to you.
Thank you, Craig. Yeah, I remember Jack telling us about his ACC officiating days, and he was actually offered and recruited by the NBA to become an official in the early 60s.
It's just something about seeing Jack McKeon. When Jack shows up at the ballpark, he looks good. Always good for a couple of good stories.
Jack came in the booth tonight just to check in. Mike Dunn actually has checked in, and he walks Carlos Ruiz. Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Marlon Byrd now scheduled to appear for the Phillies in the 7th. Nathan Eovaldi, 6 innings, 10 hits, and is off the back foot of Ruiz. Fox Mo. So hit by a pitch is Ruiz.
You get taking that stride and bracing off that back foot, hard to move it.
Dunn misses to Utley. It's a 3-run lead, and the Marlins bullpen now charged with holding it in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. It has not always been the easiest of things this year, though it lines up nicely for Mike Redmond that he can use Dunn here with the majority of the left-handed bats. Utley and Howard, the dangerous left-handed bats. And then we go to A.J. Ramos in the 8th.
That's a good point. Sometimes it doesn't always line up that way.
Utley fouls it off. We were talking about Rollins and his renaissance. Utley is having a nice year. One hit tonight. 18 doubles already for Utley. And his batting average at .335.
They had a 2 to 3 year period, 2010 through 2012, where he never played more than 115 games.
Strokes that one in the gap left center, hits it well. Yelich makes the catch. Allowed first out in the 7th. Pick up a Pepsi 4 for $54 pack. Dive in on Family Sunday on the 25th. Marlins and Brewers at 1:10. First 5,000 kids a pair of Giancarlo Stanton batting gloves, courtesy of the fine folks at Fox Sports Florida. Look at those multicolored gloves. You gotta love them. All kids get to run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. Marlins.com for tickets. Stanton batting gloves.
Run the bases with the batting gloves.
Now the other dangerous lefty bat, Ryan Howard, an RBI double in 3 trips. So Eovaldi went 6. Kendrick goes 5 2/3. Both teams are into the other's bullpen.
It's really kind of interesting when you think about it with Rollins, Utley, and Howard. You have 3 veteran players who this year all of a sudden they have strength in that lower half in their legs, and so far so good. They're off to good starts.
Done. Goes that one by Howard. And it counts 1 2. The Phillies have been unable to get is that trademark dynamite rotation, which they've essentially had when they started their postseason run under Charlie Manuel. They always had a terrific starting rotation. Halladay injuring himself last year and retiring. Lee now on the disabled list.
Hamels started the year on the disabled list, but he's back now. He's pitching tomorrow
against Henderson Alvarez. Remember, the game is at 12:40 here at Marlins Park, and we will not be televising. Dunn challenges the big slugger and strikes him out.
Challenge him up there. Don't leave it out over the plate, though. If you have a little something on your fastball, which Dunn does, you can go up in that area.
So Dunn gets the 2 dangerous left-handed bats, Utley and Howard, and here is Bird. Foul back to the screen. Giants have a run against the Rockies. Yusmeiro Petit pitching for San Francisco. 1-0. Bottom 4 in Denver. Giants on top.
That's interesting because remember when we were in San Francisco, the thought was from the Giants that Tim Hudson would only miss one start.
That was a wild game last night with the Giants and the Rockies.
How many broadcasters have said that about games at Coors Field?
It always seems if it's a high-scoring game and it's a Coors Field, the Rockies are going to walk off with a win. Last night it was a Nolan Arenado RBI double that ended it. Hop up, right field line, and out of reach. The Rockies beat the Giants closer last night, Sergio Romo. Dunn throwing well right now. Counts 1-2. One, two to Bird. Got him. Mike Dunn. Scoreless 7th. Well, round 1 goes to the Marlins bullpen. Stanton getting ready for the inning. Let's do a little AT&T U-verse rewind. This was 2 years ago. This was the Rockies, the Marlins, Jamie Moyer, and Giancarlo Stanton. And that was a grand slam and the fastest ball ever recorded off of a bat. And there is Jamie Moyer now working on the Phillies telecast with Tom McCarthy.
Did you remind him before the game that it was the anniversary of that?
You know, actually, he spoke with Allison Williams when we were in Philly about the at-bat. And if you remember, there was a 2-2 pitch that was a borderline pitch that Stanton flinched on, Moyer flinched on, and it was called ball 3. Stanton fouled off some other pitches and then launched that one. There's a strike. Jeff Manship into the ball game for the Phils. But the exit speed on that was 122.4 or 122.8 miles an hour. On his West Coast tour, Stanton hit some balls incredibly hard, and at one point Stanton had the 4 hardest balls hit in baseball this year. Swing and a miss. I say that because the ball that he smacked up the middle for an RBI back in the 3rd, it hit the mound, and then Utley fielded the ball back behind second. That was 110 miles an hour off the bat. That one is clobbered. Gwynn is in, and he makes the catch. Well, Stanton is no longer atop the list, but he dominates the list still. Yasiel Puig, 115-mile-an-hour single. But look at Stanton. Home run, home run. Stanton, a single at 113. A double at 112. Marcell Ozuna on that list. That's an opening day. 110 miles an hour.
Anthony Rizzo on that list. Yeah, I think Puig was against the Marlins.
So Stanton lines out. McKee is up. 18,257 at Marlins Park tonight. McKee, it was deflected. Utley gets it and gets the out. So 2 outs in the 7th. Saturday, full day of Major League action, and it begins with the Rangers and the Tigers on Fox Sports 1, and then the season premiere of Baseball Night in America on Fox. Cardinals, Reds, Royals, Angels, and the Nationals and the Pirates. MLB doubleheader begins Saturday, 3:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Continues 7 Eastern on Fox.
What a crazy series the Tigers had in Cleveland. Remember they had those plane problems Sunday night. They got into Cleveland, went right to the ballpark for the first game of the series. Got there about 4 o'clock. I think that game went extra innings. And then they played extra innings today as well.
And of course, today was the balk-off. Al Albuquerque of the Tigers committing a balk and the winning run scoring. Great quote from Indians outfielder David Murphy after the game. It was a bizarre game. He said, "I don't really know if that was a baseball game or a marathon combined with a circus."
That's a good line.
Because there were some the great plays at the plate to keep the game going.
There were some big home runs. A lot of stuff happening in baseball. How about the Cubs last night? Tagging a loss on Masahiro Tanaka. His first regular season loss since August of 2012.
Three-two pitch. Jones fouls it. What do you think the Cubs are going to do with Jeff Smarge?
I think they're probably going to trade him. I think Cub fans are trying to figure out what Theo Epstein's plan is. You know, if your plan is to get better in 2 or 3 years, then you got to sign him and then build around him as an ace, which he is. But if your plan just keeps continuing, you get some more prospects for him and do that.
We had a lot of tweets on email Twitter Tuesday asking if the Marlins might try to trade for him. I'm sure a lot of teams fans are wondering that. Jones just continues in an incredible ride, driving it down the line. Garrett Jones with 2 more hits tonight. He had 4 hits last night. In his last 10 games, he's about a 400 hitter. And that's filled with doubles and homers and big hits.
It's filled with base hits all over. He goes down and gets a really good pitch. So 2 for 3 tonight, 4 for 5 last night. He's hit balls into left center. He's hit balls down the left field line. And when he gets a pitch he can pull, he's done that.
Saltalamacchia. Manship the third to work. Kyle Kendrick started this ball game 5 2/3. And right now the Marlins are in a position to stop the streak. And that is the streak of games that Kendrick has won against him.
Talk about Garrett Jones, by the way, Rich. In the month of May, 22 hits and a .339 batting average for Jones.
Phillies did it again, Tommy. Started the at bat. Rollins was on the third base side. Once Manship fell behind, Rollins and the rest of the infield shifted. And Manship has proceeded to pitch Saltalamacchia on the outside part. There's a look at it. That's not the way it started during the at bat. An 0 for 3 for Saltalamacchia. Lucas is on deck. The Phillies and the Marlins last night and tonight are playing the game as if they are the Yankees and the Red Sox. Last night 3.5 hours in a 6-5 game. Runner on the move and it's outside. Tonight this game is almost at the 3-hour mark and it's bottom of the 7th inning. Larry Boa. It's a really interesting pair because Sandberg is not a chatterbox. He's a very, I want to say, thoughtful and kind of a quiet figure, whereas Larry Boa is a bag of firecrackers.
Larry Boa is just the way he was as a player. Always chirping. But a terrific baseball man.
And I think if you're Sandberg, that's the type of guy you want next to you. You want a guy that's managed in the big leagues, played in the big leagues, and is not afraid to give you his opinion. Because as a manager, that's what you want from your bench coach. A guy that will give you an opinion, and not always the opinion that you share. Liner in the right field. Lucas, another hit. Holding at third base is Jones. And the bags are loaded one more time.
Just a good job by Ed Lucas, his second base hit tonight. Lucas with a 2 for 3 night. 2 hits, a walk, scored a run.
A nice birthday for Ed Lucas. And here's Ozuna up at a familiar spot with runners in scoring position. Punched an RBI single to center in the 4th. A 6-3 lead. 2 outs. And no place to put Ozuna. Milwaukee's game in Atlanta is a final 6-1. Brewers win it. Jones singled. Saltalamacchia walked. Lucas has singled. And so Atlanta at 25-20. The Brewers at 28-19.
The Marlins a chance to pick up a game on Atlanta and Washington. Nationals lost to the Reds.
Reds a 2-1 win. Two and 2. Dodgers lead is into the 9th in New York against the Mets 4-2. Now Mike Dunn is on deck. Carter Capps is in the bullpen. Maybe the only chance Dunn gets to hit is if Ozuna clears the bases, and he may do it! Left field, and deep, and gone! Grand slam!
And he did just that.
Marcell Ozuna, 7th homer.
Boy, what a nice sight. Ozuna came into the game, 1 for his last 12. A 6 RBI night. Excuse me, make that 5 RBIs for Ozuna. The grand slam, he had an RBI base hit in the 4th inning. Much better at bats, much better approach tonight.
And Dunn still won't get to hit. Baker comes out and he's going to take the at bat, and Dunn is back into the dugout. Baker fouls it off. 10-3.
Looks like it was a kind of a backup slider that backed up right into a perfect hitting zone for Ozuna.
Flipped out into shallow center. Gwynn is there, and he makes the catch. And Miami cracks it wide open. It's Marcell Ozuna. A blast to left. A grand slam. And a 7-run lead. The Phils. And a grand slam by Marcell Ozuna. MLB.TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service, and it's celebrating 12 years. Join millions of subscribers. Watch every out-of-market game streamed live online, or you can do it on the go in true HD. MLB.TV Premium includes a free At 14 subscription, allowing you to watch live baseball on over 400 mobile and connected devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Go to marlins.com. Carter Capps into the game. So Mike Dunn, a scoreless 7th. Nathan Eovaldi is lined up to get the win. And as we noted last inning, the Marlins are poised to end that long, painful drought against Kyle Kendrick and finally get a win.
Career high for Ozuna, 5 RBIs. First grand slam.
Cody Ashe is 1 for 3, lined out back in the 5th. And you think about that play in the 5th inning. It certainly could have changed the course of this game. In the hole, Lucas on the run, and a base hit. Ashe legs out a hit. Remember, in that 5th inning, Stanton made the diving catch to his right. The bags were loaded. And at the time, all 3 runs would have scored because there were 2 outs. But Stanton flat out face first, made the grab. It would have given the Phillies a 6-5 lead.
There's been some nice defensive plays. I thought the one in the 4th inning when Eovaldi himself started that double play, 1-6-3 double play.
We'll see that play on Marlins Live coming up after the ball game. But that changes everything, because then it changes how Ryan Sandberg uses his bullpen. It changes the at-bats and the whole strategy from both dugouts from that point forward. As it was, Stanton made the catch and kept it at 5-3. The Marlins stretched it to 6-3 with a run in the 6th. When Mario Hollins came out of the pen and cleaned up for Kyle Kendrick, and then the Fish just put 4 on the board against Jeff Manship. Last night, Gwynn had the great catch. This is Stanton with the bags loaded and 2 outs.
Just laying out and also playing over a little bit with the outfield shift that the Marlins have been employing. A little bit into right center. Had he not been there, wouldn't have been able to get to that ball.
It was a night where Nathan Eovaldi needed his defense to play well, and they made some big plays behind him. After a mistake in the 1st inning cost him a couple of unearned runs. Remember that challenge at first when Garrett Jones didn't have his foot on the bag on a throw from shortstop. Jones was given the air. That ball's hit pretty well center field. Ozuna goes back, track, looks up, and it's gone. Dominic Brown. We talked about the home run drought for Brown. Well, he breaks it here with a 2-run shot in the 8th inning, and it's a 10-5 ball game.
I'll tell you what, he breaks it with a shot from a left-hander that you haven't seen too often in this ballpark. In that left center field area, going toward the base of the home run sculpture. Not many left-handers have gone in that area.
Well, when you get a hold of a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, which that pitch was, and barrel it up, it's going to go a long ways. And speed off the bat. So it came in at 96. It left at 98.
Now, that was one of the disturbing numbers for Carter Capps last year with Seattle. mean, we've talked about his strikeouts were pretty good per innings pitched. Gave up a lot of hits. Gave up 12 home runs in 59 innings. And basically what that tells you, he just hasn't gotten to the point where he has that successful number 2 pitch, that secondary pitch, and guys lay in the weeds on that 97-mile-an-hour heater.
One misses down low, and now obviously that grand slam looks a little larger as Chuck Hernandez is on his way out to the mound, which is a fine time to view the AT&T fan photo, hashtag FL fan photo. Tweet your photo. It's brought to you by AT&T, and here it is. Oh. Nice look. Especially on a night where Ozuna hits his first career grand slam.
Good shot. Good photo.
Ben Revere. Revere, Marlins saw in the leadoff spot first time they were in Philly. Was ill this weekend.
Always think of this guy when I see Ben Revere, because we talk about him having never homered in the major leagues. Another guy, Denard Span, homered tonight. His first of the year for the Nationals.
Another former Minnesota outfielder, just like Revere. Revere has gone 1,442 at bats without a home run. Longest stretch to start a career since Frank Taveras. That one's hit to center. And Ozuna's back together. Frank Taveras from 72 to 77. Was Taveras a Pirate infielder?
Pirate shortstop. Played with some other clubs too, but mainly the Pirates.
Right.
Cesar Hernandez now.
So he's hitting for Jimmy Rollins.
Carter Capps coming over in the Logan Morrison trade. Morrison still on the disabled list with a hamstring strain.
Boy, that's been a while. Because remember, Lomo went on the DL just before the Mariners came to Miami.
And Quinn is going to swipe second base. That tells you that the Phillies had no worries of him getting to second. Down 5 in the 8th. And Saltalamacchia is out to chat with Capps. Marlins Live brought to you by Checkers. First grand slam for Ozuna. The Grand Oz. Eovaldi hung in there tonight, and he's lined up for a win tonight. A lot of the young players shining in this one. Yelich, Dietrich, both with a couple of hits. And the old guys got some shots in too. Garrett Jones, Ed Lucas. Of course, Ozuna's grand slam.
on a night where Giancarlo's hitless, does have an RBI, and maybe made the most important defensive play in the game.
Just looking up a note on Logan Morrison. Seattle is hopeful that he can start his minor league rehab on Friday. Sharp ground ball. Dietrich flips to first, and Hernandez is out. Apparently Morrison felt some discomfort while running on Tuesday. We wish him a speedy return. Ruiz now. Carlos Ruiz is 0 for 3, hit by a pitch in the 7th. After a month of watching the Marlins, there were a couple of trends that you'd hope through the month of May and throughout the season the Marlins would be able to reverse. Winning on the road and winning in the division. So here tonight, a chance to get a win in the division. The road, well, the Marlins showed signs of it the last road trip. They won 3 of their last 5 games, including 2 in San Francisco, where the Giants are usually really good. Miami on the road, 6-17.
We talked about in the division, have a chance to go 10-13 now with a win tonight in the division.
Ball game tomorrow, 12:40, not on television. And then Friday night, 7:10 start against the Brewers. Remember, Saturday's game is a 4:10 start. It is Cuban Heritage Day. Here's the 1-2. Smacked on a line to McKee, who snares it. Dominic Brown's 2-run homer draws the Phillies within 5. The bottom of the 8th, Marcell Ozuna, a grand slam, first of his career. Ed Lucas on his birthday, 2 for 3. And Tommy Hutton, just a peek out of camera 12 into Cleveland.
It's always nice to see, just to know that things are up and running a little bit. Don Mayberry Jr. goes in to play right field, so a few changes. Saw Hernandez pinch hit for Jimmy Rollins, so he stays in his short. New pitcher Their shortstop, also a new shortstop, Reed Bricknett. And over first, Darren Ruff, who was just called up when the Phillies placed Cliff Lee on the disabled list. So Hernandez, who pinch hit.
Got Luis Garcia on the mound. And Yelich takes inside. Garcia called up in early May. It's his second stint with the Phillies. Yelich got jammed. Backhand, and Yelich will beat it. It's an infield hit, and Yelich has a 3-hit night, and that's got to feel good for Christian.
Once he chopped this ball up the middle, and there was just a little stumble, a little trip by Hernandez, who stayed in the game at second base. You knew that Yelich would have that base hit, and he sure did. So after going 0 for 2 his first 2 at bats, 3 for 3 the last 3 times up.
Now, Dietrich, tomorrow's going to be an interesting day just to look at the starting lineups, because as we noted, Miami has the youngest roster in baseball, and the Phils have the oldest roster in the National League, second oldest in baseball. Garcia misses. Dietrich double, triple on a 2-for-4 night.
Well, you have a feeling with Ryan Sandberg getting a few of his guys out here that he may have them in the afternoon game. And then we talked about the fact that Hamels is pitching, left-hander. That allows Mike Redmond to get Jeff Baker, to get Reed Johnson.
Probably Ed Lucas.
Ed Lucas, I would think, would play again somewhere. Jeff Mathis will probably catch.
Wow. Where did that appear on Foxtrot? Oh, that doesn't do it justice.
Nah, it should be up there by the X.
It should be like above Foxtrot. Why don't you draw it?
It's up in here somewhere. There it is.
Counts 3-1. 10-5 Miami. Bottom 8. I think he went. He did. We'll count 3-2.
Yeah, you have a guy miss so badly, and so you're figuring, well, he's going to come back with a fastball. Dietrich was ready for the fastball, but he didn't get it.
Breaking ball. You could hear Mark Carlson, the home plate umpire, say, "Oh no." Here's pitch 6. And as a reward, Garcia gets to face Giancarlo Stanton with runners first and second. Fastball into Stanton.
I think as you look around baseball, and there are a few exceptions, and the exceptions are the teams that are probably in first place, really good teams. But as you look around, the majority of teams have so many pitchers, starting pitchers, that just can't go 5 or 6 innings, or would give more to a manager. You see the importance of bullpens and how overused bullpens get.
Stanton fouls it. Well, you look at, just look at the teams that are in first place. Oakland's rotation is really good. Detroit, terrific. Atlanta's rotation was dynamite, especially in April. Milwaukee's rotation has been getting deep in games. And we've got San Francisco.
And that takes a load off a bullpen.
And it allows a manager to use the relievers he wants to use when he wants to use them, rather than just, hey, who's available and who can I throw?
Which we usually have this discussion every year. And it just brings up the point, why in the minor leagues then aren't pitchers stretched out a little bit so they can give you another inning or two at this level? Or you'll be back in that same predicament.
Stanton with a count 2-2. But I think on a lot of the teams you'll find it's not only younger pitchers but older pitchers that aren't able to give you 7 innings per start. Stanton coiled, a 2-2 coming. And he got him. Garcia with a sharp breaking ball. First out of the 8th. And up comes Casey McGee. Miami beating the Phillies. McGee set the tone offensively with an RBI single in the first. This game started just like last night, with the Phillies getting 2 in the first and the Marlins getting 2 in the first.
But the key to this one, and we talked about it, against a team like the Phillies, you have to just keep trying to add on. And the Marlins have been successful tonight in doing that.
Well, McGee's up there with a runner in scoring position, so this is his thing this year. His average about 440 with runners in scoring position. Didn't swing, 3-0.
And part of that success has been his selectivity, being able to stay off a pitch like that.
He's got the cool lacquer working on his bat tonight. When you look at it, when you start down by his hands, it looks like it's just pine tar, but it just keeps going and going.
Ask Casey if he uses bats that he used when he was in Japan.
It's out. McGee is on his way to first. And so a messy inning right now for Luis Garcia, who was closing in Lehigh Valley before they called him up in early May. Garrett Jones. So far, all Garrett Jones has done in this series is go 6 for 8. Drive in 3. 3 doubles in the last 2 nights. Mets mounted a comeback, but they fall short in the 9th. Dodgers 4-3. Mets are 5 under at 20-25. Told you the Nationals lost to the Reds 2-1. Nationals are 2 over. Atlanta lost to the Brewers 6-1. Atlanta is 5 over. If Miami wins this game, they're a game over. 24 and 23, and it would drop the Phillies back down 3 under.
Well, it helps in all areas because it separates the Marlins and the Phillies, the Marlins and the Mets a little bit. And it allows the Marlins to gain a little bit on the Nationals and also the Braves.
Bases filled with fish. Yelich, Dietrich, McGee. Marlins already have 1 grand slam. Jones a chopper wide of first. Garrett Jones in his career with the bases loaded has never hit a grand slam. How about that? Two. Full count. 1 out, bags loaded. .108 career home runs, and none of them a grand slam. You get an RBI out of it, a bases loaded walk. And Miami adds another run.
This certainly is not what Ryan Sandberg was hoping for. So his pitching coach, Bob McClure. Bob McClure was telling us the other day, a longtime pitching coach, very respected, left-handed pitcher, had a nice major league career. He was telling me something the other day that I never heard before, and I thought it was a great idea. He said when his starting pitchers throw their bullpen in between starts, all the other starters go down to the bullpen and watch. And they keep quiet. They don't make any suggestions, but they watch and they learn things. I can imagine if you have a guy like Cliff Lee down there or Cole Hamels, and you're a young pitcher, you're going to learn a few things.
Saltalamacchia. Saltalamacchia has 84 career home runs. And with the bags loaded,
I'm going to guess he has a few grand slams.
3.
Yeah.
Two and one.
Garcia going to get no help. There's no activity in the bullpen. That's probably what McClure told him. He said, "This one's yours."
And reminded him, look, all of these runs are going on the back of your baseball card. I guess you know what? That's outdated. All of these numbers are going on baseballreference.com.
Yeah.
So you can choose to pile them up or you can choose to get out of here. Obviously for Garcia, he's walked 3 in the inning, so most of the damage has been self-inflicted.
All these numbers are going to go into somebody's flash drive.
Up the middle into center field, Saltalamacchia bangs a single to center. McGee's coming home, so's the throw, but he scores. And Saltalamacchia adds a couple of RBIs. The Marlins stretch it back to 13-5.
Good job. They tried to go up, which they've done to Saltalamacchia, but he stayed on top of that one to get it up the middle.
Lucas takes in. Happy birthday for Ed Lucas so far. 2 for 3. Walked and scored and lined out.
We talked about also Jacob Turner celebrating a birthday. He'll pitch in that Saturday game against Milwaukee. So the Marlins entered the game 4 for 32 previously with bases loaded. Tonight they're 3 for 5.
Garcia laboring out there right now. There's still only 1 out. Lucas fights off an inside pitch, and a spinning play made by Hernandez gets Lucas. It brings up Ozuna with runners second and third. Of course, Ozuna's grand slam highlighted the 7th.
Well, he has a chance to add on to his already career high 5 RBI night. Energized player. Marcell Ozuna is fun to watch.
So a 2 for 4 night. He's got 2 more runs out there. If he can find a hole. Ball and a strike. So Garcia now has given up the 3 runs. His ERA is up close to 15. Phillies and Fish tomorrow, 12:40 start. Marlins Radio Network for that one. We're back on Friday night with full-blown coverage. It starts at 6:30 of Marlins Brewers. Very good offensive team coming into town with the Brewers.
Yeah, Ryan Braun is back activated. Carlos Gomez. Excitement. He'll always provide some of that.
3 right-handers for Milwaukee. Marco Estrada on Friday. Willie Peralta on Saturday. Giovanni Gallardo is scheduled on Sunday. Remember, he left his last start with a leg injury. Ozuna walks, and this is the definition of having to wear it.
Wow, 41 pitches, 4 walks issued in the inning.
Donovan Solano comes up, and Solano with the bases loaded at bat. Strike to Solano. been tough for Solano to get any sort of traction at the plate.
You know, we talk a lot about bullpen pitchers getting their role, figuring out, okay, where do they fit in.
Little tapper up the line. Garcia picks it up, fires to first, safe. You think about Garcia trying to, I mean, he's out there until this inning ends. He finally makes a really good pitch, gets a little tapper, and it's an infield hit. And the Marlins add a run.
And just to finish my point on Solano, he's in a situation right now with what the club has and the way Mike Redmond has used his roster. He really doesn't have a role, so it's a rough situation to be in. So good to see him get a little break like this, get himself an infield hit and an RBI.
And Yelich with the bases loaded at bat. Boy, that was close. Too late to challenge now.
Hot.
14-5 Miami.
So the 14 runs, a season high, surpassing the 13 scored in L.A.
You know, in all honesty, Tommy, if Garcia can't get Yelich or Dietrich out here, the Phillies may have to think about a position play. I mean, it's one thing to leave a guy out there, but he's 45 pitches in here. And the call just went down to the bullpen. It looks like another Philly reliever is popping up. And it's Antonio Bastardo. Certainly that's not what the Phillies wanted to do, is get Bastardo in there. And
boy, look at this. He just cannot throw a strike.
And he looks on the mound like he's fatigued and tired and out of gas. His 48th pitch coming. Bags loaded, 2 outs. 3-2 the count. And he strikes out Yelich. A long inning for Luis Garcia. Miami puts 4 on the board and leaves them loaded and leads it 14-5. Runs. Mike Redmond can relax. And the Marlins are headed back above 500. They need 3 outs. Kevin Slowey comes in. Nathan Eovaldi is lined up for the win. The loss believe it or not, would go to Kyle Kendrick. It would snap a string of 13 starts against the Marlins without a loss. Tom Kohler will get the start on Friday night against Marco Estrada. Remember, tomorrow it's Henderson Alvarez and Cole Hamels. Reed Brignac. Brignac swings and misses. Brignac playing at Lehigh Valley, was called up on the 9th of this month. Versatile player.
Yeah, we saw him with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Brignac, Darren Ruff, John Mayberry. Up the middle, and it climbs up the arm of Dietrich. I don't think he would have had Brignac anyways. So an infield hit.
Yeah, I agree with you. At the in the area of the diamond where Dietrich was, even if he does catch that ball, and it is a base hit.
Yusmeiro Petit is throwing a 2-hit shutout at Coors Field. Go figure. In the bottom of the 7th.
Tulowitzki must not be getting the signs.
Hunter Pence with a home run. Pablo Sandoval, a home run. Brandon Crawford, a home run. All solo shots for the Giants. Hit hard. McGee, one there. The turn, one there. Nicely done. Double play on a hot smash off the bat of Darren Ruff.
Super job down at third base all year from Casey McGee defensively. We know what he's done offensively with runners in scoring position, driving in runs, but he's done a really nice job defensively at third base.
Now Mayberry, who had the big hit last night, in a much different spot tonight. Miami with a 9-run lead. And Slowey quickly out in front, 0-2.
So one thing in these situations with Kevin Slowey, he's going to throw strikes. He might get hit a little bit, but he's going to throw strikes.
That one a little too hot for McGee to handle. And Mayberry's going to end up at second base. It's going to go as a double. And it brings Cody Ashe to the plate. Arizona on the road and leading St. Louis in the bottom of the 8th, 2-1. See if the Diamondbacks can hold that lead. Of course, stay tuned for that game in Colorado, because last night the Rockies got to the Giants bullpen and won at 5-4. They're down 4-0 now.
Might have to check on that one on the way home.
Ball and a strike. One and two. And he got him. Marlins win it, and they win it big. Even the series with the Phils. Kevin Slowey finishes 14-5 is the final. Marcell Ozuna, a big night for him. Ozuna with his first career grand slam and a 14-run on 14-hit night for the Fish.